Gordon Tobin here at the March Classic Grain Farmers of Ontario, joined today by Yvette D'Entremont, better known as the SciBabe, Science Babe.
SciBabe now.
SciBabe now?
Yes.
Down from Science Babe. Hey, thanks for joining us. A lot of people follow you, a lot of farmers follow you here, but for those who don't follow you, don't know you, tell us a little bit about SciBabe. How did this all get going?
It started it was multi-pronged how this happened. So a long time ago, I fell for all the food myths on the internet that I now bust. I was a very sick person. One day I got the worst headache of my life and it never went away. Now headaches are the worst thing. Like worse than nuclear war, worse than everything, obviously. I'm exaggerating just a touch. But I got a really bad headache, never went away. And while I was working with my doctors, I also, scurried into the bowels of the internet and found all the horrible food bloggers that are telling me, it's the GMOs, it's the toxins, it's the pesticides. And while I was trying to get my health in order, I fell for everything. I started, I went organic, I cut everything out of my diet. I'm like, well, it must be the grains, it must be, and I was reading food labels like crazy. I'm like, oh, it has a GMO and it can't eat it. It has soy and it can't eat it. And eventually, I'd been losing weight healthfully through most of it. My doctor was healthy. At one point after I'd gotten to a healthy weight, I lost another 15 pounds in a month from just cutting everything out of my diet. And my doctor looked at me and said, do you have a self-esteem problem? It was scary. And then, I got a little saner about it. We figured out how to fix my headaches. And it was kind of a wake-up call when my doctor said that to me, that there was some nuttiness going on with the food bloggers saying everything was bad for me. I'm like, everything can't be bad for me. Right. This is crazy.
You're a scientist, right?
Yes,
right.
And I still fell for that. Yeah. It's like when you're vulnerable like that, it's easy for them to leech onto you. And eventually, some sanity came to me. I started looking into, I started working at a pesticide lab and looked into all the regulations and how all the testing on GMOs, and eventually SciBabe came out of that. Getting better and learning about the market itself.
Yeah. Now, what you really focus on is busting myths about food.
Yeah.
And you talked about it earlier today. If you Google GMOs, for example, 2 years ago, 8 out of the first 10 sort of links would have come up and said that GMOs are bad for you.
Yes.
Today, if you did it, you said it would be about 5.
Yeah.
About 5 of those links. Talk about where we've gone in the last couple of years. Are we getting better? Are we winning this?
I think we're getting a little better because there's been a lot of pushback against the people that are anti-GMO. Now, the anti-GMOers, here's the problem. They're still really, really loud. And there's still a tendency, even when, there are articles out there that are, positive for GMO, to say that they're paid off, to say that, this person is a shill. So even though we're getting better about writing about it, even though mainstream journalists are writing positively about GMOs, we're still seeing, there's still a lot of people, and it's still very common for people to be suspicious of it because they look at it as a new technology, and people are suspicious about anything new. So I think we're getting better. I think people are starting to learn the technology, and it's partially because we have these new breed of science bloggers who are getting out there and just talking about it. But I think people need to hear it from the farmers, from the people who are buying it. Like they hear Monsanto is a $16 billion annual revenue company. They don't understand that it's because the farmers like the product for reasons. Yeah. So they need to hear it from the farmers themselves, and I think that's going to be an incredibly powerful way for that to be communicated, and it's going to be transformative.
For sure. I think part of your presentation really is about people that have difficulty determining what a good source of information is today. And so talk about, I guess what people need to think about. Some of the myths, some of the things that people, when they see it, an alarm should go on.
Today my presentation was 10 food myths and how you can tell if something is a food myth. Whenever I hear somebody say the word toxin, or if they're selling a cleanse, automatically, unless they're a toxicologist, this one's a myth. If they're peddling superfood, totally a myth. There's no such thing as a superfood. There's no scientific basis for the term. It's just a marketing term. And there's one food guru, David Avocado Wolf, who for years told people they should eat superfoods, and then said if you put any food into this blender of his, that it became a superfood. So that's not very scientific. Another one is if they tell you that you should eat their alternative, natural, GMO-free, gluten-free thing, that it's better. A lot of these terms aren't very well regulated, especially especially the term natural. Polio is natural. It doesn't mean it's better. Another one is
tsunamis.
Exactly. Tsunamis, all natural, not very good for your house. But nature has no intention of making you live, and I don't think people understand that. They just hear natural and think it's better. Laboratories gave us penicillin, nature gave us polio. So there are a lot of food myths. Like later this year, my first book, SciBabe's 10 Rules to BS Detection, is coming out, and that has kind of general myth-busting guidelines for you. Today's presentation was more on food, though. But there are a lot of ways that you can use my little sniff test to make sure that you're not being given a line of BS. And I think it's hard for people to know right away if a source is scientific. This is kind of, here's how you can break it down if you're not if you don't know if someone's a scientist or not, because so many people present themselves as scientists or scientifically sound sources. This way, it doesn't go into, do you know do you know how to look at a study? It kind of helps you know if it's just BS without the nuts and bolts of science.
Let's talk a little bit about, I guess, again, I want to finish it up with talking about how farmers can get involved here. And
Gotcha.
I get a sense that, we've got a consumer these days that are 2 generations removed from the farm.
Yeah.
They don't know much about where their food comes from, how it's produced. They're looking for someone who they can trust. And that's why everybody's filling that void, all the people we talked about. How can farmers, be a good source? What can they do more? I think it comes down to telling the story.
Yeah, I've invited, like today, I would love it if any farmer wants to contact me and do a video and get on my page. I would love it. Other than that, it's wonderful if farmers are on social media. There are a lot of farmers who are hitting social media right now and showing this is what we do. I spoke to a farmer yesterday who is a 3rd generation farmer, who I'm like, oh my God, if this man were on social media telling people what he does every day, people would love it. And it's like he said that his grandfather had a horse, to pull the tractor, and now he has, a motorized tractor. It's still farming. And I asked how technology had changed, how GMOs had changed farming, and every answer he gave, I'm like, man, this would break people's heart if they saw, how much passion there was behind how this man speaks about farming. And he's not on social media because he's farming. He's doing the real work, and people don't see that. They see a food blogger talking about it. So if they're out there making giving their story, even just giving a video blog, 5 minutes of saying it, and not being scared to talk about it, it'll be incredibly transformative.
And that's the thing, right? You don't have to be slick. You don't. All these.
Exactly.
You just got to be genuine. That's what people are looking for. They're looking for someone who probably shares your value, and that's for healthy food and all those.
Exactly. Like the moms that are looking to mommy bloggers. Part of the reason that a mommy blogger sells so well is because she it's a mom to a mom talking. I think people don't understand that the farmer, who's buying from Monsanto or buying from, their seeds from one of these large companies, that farmer loves his family, probably has a dog, probably, has been working the field and wants to be able to pass that field on to his children, cares deeply about what he's doing, and they don't see that. They just hear these horrible things from these food bloggers. So it's a transformative thing to hear this information from somebody who's been working the field their entire lives. So I hope that more farmers get on social media and are just genuine with people. And I just talking to farmers, I find it'd be hard for them not to be genuine. They're wonderful people.
And they're experts too, right?
Exactly.
It's what they do.
That's one thing that I think people
tell your story.
Exactly. I think people underestimate farmers. They think they don't understand how smart and savvy these people are about what they do. They have to understand crop rotation. They have to understand how to work the soil. They know so many things. It's not just from an academic, from passed on knowledge standpoint. These are people who have to study. They have to understand the chemistry of the soil. These are smart people, and they're underestimated both, in the media by the food bloggers who think that they can tell people how to do their job because they watched a documentary on Netflix. Like these people are incredibly savvy about what they do, and I think they need to be given more credit both in the media and by these bloggers. So I hope that they'll get out and tell their story more. And if any of them want to come and do a video from my site, I will happily promote it because there's an audience out there waiting to hear from them.
The site?
My website is SciBabe.com and Facebook.com/SciBabe.